Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Man Cinema Reviews. It's your lovely host, Peter Man. What's up, y'all? Today, on the solo tip, I'm going to be reviewing 5 new films. Some new, some rather new. Go ahead and press like, subscribe, and be sure to hit the notification bell as well to notify you of any and all reviews to this channel. Add a comment, like, share, do all that good stuff. I am literally filming this on New Year's Eve, so within a half an hour I gotta go ahead and cut this off and celebrate with my family, but I thought I would go ahead and do a little rundown of 5 new films. We'll start off the first film with Juror No. 2 from Clint Eastwood, and it is about a juror for a high-profile murder trial finds himself struggling with a serious moral dilemma that could influence the verdict and potentially convict or free the accused killer. Now, that's a lot to digest here. We have Nicholas Hoult, we have Zoe Deutsch, we have Toni Collette, and this film wasn't really marketed well. Warner Brothers kind of dropped the ball on this film, and it's getting critically praised. I think that it's an eclectic and well-rounded cast. Nicholas Hoult hasn't been as good as he has been in a while, and in fact, this year is the year of Nicholas Hoult, because I have another film called Nosferatu that I'll be reviewing later on. But I have to say that his acting chops were at the forefront of this film. This is a little bit of a reunion for him and Toni Collette, I believe, about a boy they both starred in when he was a young man, and he still is one, but he really is at the forefront. He is the juror number 2, the titular character, who is a recovering alcoholic. Him and his wife are welcoming a child into the world, and he has to serve on a jury, and he happens to be put at the scene of the supposed crime of a murder that happened of a young woman who had a kind of a domestic dispute with her significant other, and it was documented. People were taking video. He happened to be at the bar but went unnoticed, and now he's on the jury, and he hit something that he thought was deer that night, but it was raining, and he very well could have hit the young lady who stormed out, and her boyfriend did not pursue her. A very straightforward kind of courtroom procedural. Clint Eastwood is at the top of his game, and if this is indeed his last film, he goes out with a bang. I have to say that it's nothing short of spectacular. Not since Mystic River have I seen captivating performances. They're not showy. Nicholas Hoult kind of plays it your straight man down the middle, and he has to contend with people on the jury that are ready to convict this troubled human being who they see, either neglected or did indeed kill his girlfriend that night. And it looks like Nicholas Hoult's character could have been the one that had mistakenly had hit and struck this woman off the road and into a ditch where she ends up dead. And so I think that Juror No. 2 is a winner. Is currently on Max, and I think that I implore you to go watch it, and I'm glad that I caught it in theaters, and I thought it was well made. I thought Clint Eastwood's best work since Mystic River. I will give Juror No. 2 a enthusiastic 4-star review. Now going on to A24's latest comedy horror film, Y2K. It has an eclectic cast. Rachel Zegler, Jane Martell, Kyle Mooney co-stars as also directs. Let's go into the synopsis of the film. On the last night of 1999, 2 high school juniors crash a New Year's Eve party only to find themselves fighting for their lives when the terror of Y2K becomes a reality and all machines rise up against humanity. It just boggles the mind that A24 puts their stamp on this film. They are known for the art house, classy films. Kyle Mooney must have just came in with a hell of a pitch, and he certainly does bring on the nostalgia of 1999. I will say that he captures the time of we're at the cusp of cutting edge technology. We're still doing AIM chat rooms. This is the era of burning CDs, having LimeWire, waiting 6 hours for dial-up. We're at the end of President Clinton's presidency. I know that there was Y2K scares, the nightmare come to life. And Kyle Mooney, I think, has the approach of a horror comedy. However, this just feels like over baked and a SNL sketch that runs way too long, and just the source material runs way too thin, way too soon. And I think that as much as the comedy has it going, it doesn't nearly have the heart as a Superbad. But I will say that it encapsulates the feeling of a 1999 film, Idle Hands. I think that it's very reminiscent, and it has the stylings and the aesthetic of an Idle Hands. And it's kind of like a guilty pleasure. As much as I like Jaden Martell and Rachel Zegler, who star in this film, they can only do so much with a script that's very paper thin, and it includes frontman of Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst, as an actual character. And once that happens, I knew that we were just in trouble. I think that it has a killer soundtrack, and it has the horrors and the gore, but doesn't nearly have the heart, doesn't nearly have the scares, and really doesn't have the laughs to boot. I think Y2K is a failed attempt at bringing nostalgia. The best I can do is give it a 1-star review. Going on to the next film, and that would be the film Queer. The film stars Daniel Craig in the role as Lee, as he recounts his life in Mexico City among American students. He pursues a young man named Allerton, a U.S. Navy serviceman recently discharged from Jacksonville, Florida. This film, I will say, stylistically and aesthetically, I think Luca Guadagnino is a daring filmmaker. I think that the cast here is great. We have a unrecognizable Jason Schwartzman. This is set in 1950, I believe, Mexico City, and it's a time where particularly gay men didn't identify as gay. They looked at respectable partners as queer. They're trying to see if men identified as queer. They definitely have to have some kind of secrecy, and they had to hide a lot. But once the nightlife comes, freaks come out at night. I will say that Daniel Craig does a daring performance. I think this is one of his greatest performances, actually, and it's great to see him step out of the James Bond role and into a lot more daring roles. And I think that Luca Guadagnino uses Daniel Craig to the fullest. I think this is a great film, a great period piece. However, things that threw me off were using more modern songs, featuring Nirvana songs in the 1950s. Kind of throws me off, as when Jay-Z's H to the Izzo was featured in the last Great Gatsby iteration. It just throws you. I know that it is the choice of the filmmaker, and the soundtrack is great. It's very eclectic. I would have liked a little bit more reflecting of the time in which it is set in. But Luca Guadagnino does things with purpose, and I know that it's a very personal film. I think this is one of his most in-depth personal films about the LGBTQ community. It's great to adapt a book that they say was unadaptable, like Dune was, and I think Queer does a lot of things right more than they do wrong. It does have the first and second act is captivating. I will say it goes a little bit off the deep end once the third act hits, in which the two main characters go into the jungle to find a drug known today as ayahuasca. And that's when it gets a little trippy, gets a little art housey, gets a little artsy fartsy. But Luca Guadagnino is a filmmaker that I really enjoy. All of his films, including Call Me by Your Name, Challengers, have just hit it out of the park. And to have Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor at the helm of the score was a winner. It was a interesting film with a great premise, but its execution is a little shoddy at times. For the most part, I really enjoyed Queer, and I think it's a daring piece of cinema. And with that, I will give it a 4-star review. Going on to the next film, Nosferatu. This is about a real estate agent in the 1830s. Thomas travels to Transylvania for a fateful meeting with Count Orlok, a prospective client. In the absence, Thomas's new bride Alan is left under the care of their friends Frederick and Anna Harding. Plagued by horrific visions and an increasing sense of dread, Alan soon encounters an evil force that's far beyond her control. And this is the latest from Robert Eggers. Since The Witch, I've just been a huge fan. The Lighthouse and The Northman, and now with Nosferatu. I knew that this film was going to be in production after The Witch was released, and I know that Eggers has been trying to get this adapted into the screen, but I think he himself said he wasn't ready. So he had 2 other films that he made, and now we get Nosferatu. Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok is unrecognizable, even from down to the voice. He's always a actor that just immerses himself and very much a chameleon, shifts and bends and just immerses himself, gets just lost in his roles, and he does so with Count Orlok. This is another film that Nicholas Hoult is in. He plays Thomas, and this is basically the German version of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Nosferatu has been on the screen in a silent film. I know Herzog did a film in the 70s, and now we have Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. I will say this was my most anticipated film of the year, and it doesn't disappoint. I think the surprising aspect of Lily Rose Depp being the best thing in the film threw me for a loop. I did not anticipate that as much as I saw hope in The Idol. That was flawed and definitely a missed opportunity for Lily Rose Depp to rise to the occasion and blossom. But in Nosferatu, she really is the showstopper. She steals the show. Every scene that she's in, she's great. Nicholas Hoult is also great. And like I said, Willem Dafoe and Bill Skarsgård really immerse themselves in their characters. This is perfectly shot. The cinematography is great. The music is haunting. I will say that if you are looking for a horror film to scare you and deeply disturb you, I think this isn't it. I think a lot of people have problems with how slow burn of the film is. There's a lot of dialogue. However, I find it deeply haunting, beautifully haunting rather, and told in the aesthetic of a fairy tale. I think that the romance and the drama is actually a bigger aspect than the horror aspect of the film. So if you're looking for a straight horror film, you could be deeply disappointed. However, I wasn't, and I thought Robert Eggers is a filmmaker that was born to direct Nosferatu. It didn't disappoint. I have a problem with an actor in here, but However, he does remedy it towards the end of the film, and I give you a clue. He was in Craven, and I've yet to see that film, but I'll definitely say that he's the weakest link here, but he doesn't deter the film for being, I think, a masterpiece. And one of my favorites, if not my new favorite from Robert Eggers, Nosferatu, will get a full-fledged 5-star review. And going on to the last film is Babygirl. This is starring Nicole Kidman, about a high-powered CEO that puts her career and family on the line when she begins a torrid affair with a much younger intern. Harris Dickerson plays the young intern. She is married to Antonio Banderas. This is Nicole freaking Kidman. This is the AMC spokesperson. So it's weird to have her in this erotic drama. It's great to see her not afraid of her sexuality at this point of her career. She flaunts it. She's beautiful as a seasoned actor. She has a lot of fun with Harris Dickinson in the film. The two play well off each other. Even the scenes with her and Antonio Banderas were pretty stellar as well. And Esther Rose McGregor plays their daughter. They have 2 daughters, Nicole Kidman and Antonio Banderas. It's funny because she's Australian. Antonio Banderas is from Spain. So both have distinct accents, and when they have American kids, it just threw me for a loop. But that's beside the point. I think that Babygirl showcases a star that is Nicole Kidman. However, I really think that this and Queer really is a little bit more style over substance. I know that this is written and directed by a female director, which is great. You love to see that representation. It's great that it's in a female voice, because if it were in a male voice, it could be troublesome. I think that the male gaze is a little bit troublesome if it is from a male director. So in the cinematic voice of a woman, it's great to see that it's a female at the helm, and told beautifully, and with homage to Nicole Kidman. I think that this is daring, just as Queer is. However, it's just barely scratching the surface, and I think there could have been a little bit more character development in Nicole Kidman's character and Harris Dickinson's character. But it's fun to see them in their element, and when they play off each other, it's really something to see, really something to behold. It's a little bit of a dark comedy, and I will say that the drama's a little lackluster. It is funny, but very awkward in scenes, and I think that's the intention of the filmmaker, is to have a little bit of jaw-dropping moments and a little bit of head scratching here and there. There's a beautiful scene where Dickinson is dancing to George Michael's, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's a very entertaining piece of erotic cinema, and we don't get a lot of that. So I hats off and kudos to everyone involved. I just really think that there could have been, it was missing something. It was missing a little oomph that I thought that it needed. But it does get away with it being a great time in theaters. I will give a similar review to Queer for Babygirl. I give it 4 stars. Look, this is the end of the year. I will have my best ofs. I will have my disappointments. I think I will have another review with my son, with Sonic, and maybe Mufasa. Stay tuned to another year in Man Cinema Reviews. Thank you. Peace.